everyone, welcome to this special episode of Trader Babes. I'm Erica and with me is Arya.
Hi, Erika. Hi, everyone.
How are you today? Did you have a good day?
Yeah, great day.
I am so excited to let everyone know about our own journey into trading and let them in on some of the lovely mistakes that we have made in our fancy new virtual backgrounds. I'm on a tropical beach and you are in a lovely painting.
Yeah, this is fun.
So, if you want to start, why don't you tell us about how you started getting into trading, how many years ago it was?
Yeah, to start with, I hope that this can help the traders who are starting not to make the same mistakes as I have, and possibly maybe you have. And also, we hear you. We know it's been hard, and everyone's been through it. Some people it takes maybe a year to get it right. Some people it takes longer. I've heard successful traders that have said it's take them literally 20 years to get it right, but we hope it doesn't take that long because, like, it has taken me 5 years before I become even. I'm on the sixth year of my trading, but it doesn't have to be this way if you're at the right place and getting the right suggestions, then you can cut the bad trading off before it's longer, because the longer it goes, the harder it is to stop the bad habits.
Yeah, if we can learn the good habits from the beginning, then you're saving yourself a lot of time and a lot of headache by having to avoid learning the hard way. Rather, if you just learn from the beginning, then you cut that out, the pain and the suffering from having to learn the hard way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It didn't happen for me, but I hope I can help someone else avoid those.
Yeah, definitely. And you said you started about 6 years ago, and you were a biotech major, right?
Yeah, I got my master degree in biotechnology, and right as I was graduating, I saw an article that said so and so stock moved because of some sort of a pattern, and I was just so excited because my whole life I had this brain that was always so overactive, connecting dots and uh, picking out patterns to everything in life. And I just thought, like, I can make money and have a career based on those patterns and that skill of my brain that usually, like, is not making me money. It's just overthinking maybe. But I got really excited reading that article. And so it was literally simultaneously when I was graduating and I found this new passion for trading. And once I started, I got pretty excited thinking, I'm going to kill this. I have the experience in biotechnology. I know about clinical studies. Let me find the next Amazon. And I didn't know technicals at that point. So I started trading biotechs, and of course I wanted to hit home run. Uh, I was filled with ego and excitement, and so I started. I did my work too on the side. I started uh, reading clinical studies, and would be up till 6 a.m. and just really focused and excited about this. But that's not what trading is. And obviously, so much wrong with that. Trying to hit a home run. Um, as a day trader, you have to trade technicals, and that's it. And at the end of that phase, what happened is when I realized after my research where it was combining biotech and trading, I came to the understanding that only 8% of biotech companies make it after the third phase of clinical trials. And of course, any other company that's big already is at highs that has nothing to do with my day trading, basically, for the most part. And so that's when I started moving to penny stocks. I was now I was in love with the technicals, and um, actually not technicals. I was in love with the whole uh, volatility. I was in love with volatility, and so I moved to penny stocks, and I found StockTwits, which was filled with rocket emojis and to the moon, and of course, just feeding into that whole new phase of wanting to ride the spikes. And that went on for probably about a year until I blew up another account doing that. And I found that's when I found Guy Gentile, when where we met, and he was entirely different. He spoke about market psychology. He's been in this for so many years, and he knows the in and outs of market psychology. I mean, I don't think there's anybody else that can uh, teach you that. And I had the privilege to learn from him material I wouldn't find in books. I probably wouldn't find in any other room. He has come up with his own techniques. So I learned a ton from him, but I still wasn't profitable. So that's when I personally started to look into why I cannot be profitable. Um, and at that point, I knew technicals, I knew uh, market psychology, and then the next phase begins.
Yeah. And one thing that he always emphasizes is that there's so much of this that you learn through experience, right? Just by watching something for a really long period of time. And I went into this a little bit differently. I actually started getting into trading I was very skeptical about it. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. I see a chart and I'm like, you're supposed to see something here. I did not have a financial background whatsoever. I had a new baby at home, and I was kind of looking into different things that you could do from home. I had a separate business, but I wasn't working for it full time. And then COVID hit and shut down the business completely. So I had the time to completely dedicate into learning trading. But I will say that I also started on StockTwits and had no idea what I was doing. And everyone was screaming, buy the dip, slap the ask. And so yeah, it was the penny stock momentum, just scalping. The cheaper the better, not paying attention to the float. I didn't even know what the float was, anything like that, just completely jumped in blind. But it sounds like you kind of started trying to do all that deep like due diligence, whereas with day trading you don't need that. It doesn't
Mhm.
the details of what the company is doing in their clinical trials isn't as important when you're in day trading.
Right, exactly. A hard lesson to learn. That's definitely not one of the hard lessons I've learned. I think, like I've said to you before, I've made every single mistake there is in trading, and I've created new ones, but this comes from a place of power. Like I understand everyone because I most likely have been where they have, and I just know better now. So
And were you ever at the point where you were like blindly following anyone's calls? Because I definitely was. I was guilty of doing that. Of just someone would call out something. I was like, oh, we have to buy that one. Why? I don't know.
yeah, that's actually one of my good transitions because, of course, when you're on StockTwits and new to trading, that's you find somebody legitimate and you think that's it, they know, and you follow them. I did that. That's probably the shortest phase of my trading because I have this sort of creative individual way of thinking. I want to do it myself. but it definitely cost me quite a bit the few months I was doing it. But very fast, I learned that one, because literally it's not your trade. If even if I enter, how am I going to exit? So with as far as technicals go, I also was, as I told you before, I was stubborn. I wanted to create my own technicals, but then I came to realize, I have to learn technicals because that's usually why the markets move. Indicators where everyone knows, and if someone tells you otherwise, there are articles even to this day where they tell you, like, don't everything you read on the trading book, uh, don't do those because of the market scheme. Trust me, just do those.
Yeah,
it,
I think everyone at some point gets very humbled by the market. You think that you know what you're talking about, and you have no idea until the market shows you otherwise. I think that that is a lesson that we all go through, is being deeply humbled by the stock
Even
market.
successful traders, it's just how much you limit that from happening. Is it every day? Is it once a week? Is it once a month? That's, you want to try to get humble as less as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like you, I quickly became completely fascinated with trading. I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could as quickly as possible. And then I kept making the mistakes. And I know that you said that after you met Guy Gentili, things started to change for you. Is that like when you started realizing that a big change in your strategy needed to happen?
That's literally the moment I stopped going to stock tweets. I moved to Twitter and entered his room, and that's when I started wanting to trade mega caps and the actual market. So that was the new door that had opened for me, which is amazing. I like to trade penny stock even to this day, but now I'm just so focused on the market and learning a ton with economy and things that affect the market. It's just been an incredible ride, and I still have a love for penny stock. That's where it came from, but I would have never ever had been here and traded the real market if it wasn't for Guy Gentile and learning market psychology, which is probably one of the best.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that. And I think that actually you touched on something that's really important, and that is finding your individual space in the market that you prefer to trade. Like you said, you can trade penny stocks, you can trade all these other things, but you're most comfortable in the large caps or looking at the entire market overall because you love the market psychology of it all. And it seems like that's what really struck a chord with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important what you just pointed out. So you wanna, you can have different niches in the stock market where
I never know how to pronounce this. Is it niche? Is it niche? It can be either.
so it is very good to have those in your toolbox. But while you're trading, as a day trader, especially, you don't want to mix your strategy. You should not mix your niches because once you mix that up, we only have so much brain power, and day trading, all the indicators, everything you do, the less is more, honestly. So if there's a week I say, hey, a spy's throwing me off, I go back to penny stock. I'm not gonna do the both things at the same time. Personally speaking, I I'm gonna limit that distraction to switching my mind from one thing to another. I already have 10 charts in front of me. I don't need to think penny versus think mega caps. They trade differently. Mega caps are usually uh, not talking about the current market conditions after pandemic. Usually you should buy every correction every dip. So, but on a penny stock, you shouldn't. So, if I'm switched onto that mentality, then I don't want to mix that up.
And it's really good that you know when to stop that, because that's another huge thing that we all have to learn is discipline, because we are so undisciplined when we come into this, not obeying our rules, not having rules. And another big part of it is the emotional aspect of that. What was it that you did to help separate your emotion from trading? Because every successful trader always says you have to take emotion out of it, but people don't understand what that means. And so I know for me, doing simple things like paying attention to percentages as opposed to seeing the dollar signs, because I feel like as humans, we naturally have that connection to money, because it runs our life. So when I stopped looking at it as dollar signs and I would refer to numbers in percentages or points, that was a huge change for me. And that's actually something I learned from Guy too.
Good. Yeah, that's definitely something that changed me too, because at the end of the day, if you're consistently making 1%, it's unbelievable how much you can calculate it. It's it's multifold what you can make being consistently 1% every day on a small capital. So and you don't fall for the traps of big losses. So absolutely, percentage, get that 1% every day.
Yeah, compounding gains, right?
Exactly.
And that's what everyone's preaching all the time, is to make sure that you are compounding your gains.
Yeah.
Is there a,
So for me, the when you mentioned the realizations of trading it, for me was strategy. So if you have a strategy that is working for you, you will take emotions out of it before having to deal with it. So obviously there's so many techniques when it comes to mentality, how to deal with when you become emotional in a trade. But what's better, to prevent it from happening or try to fix it? Uh, it's definitely try to prevent it from happening. So strategies can be very different. And we touched on this a little bit last time we were talking. It can be 3 out of your 10 trades that work, but your long time P&L would reflect on you having gains like that are over 50%, 60%. Hope it's better, of course, that you go for a strategy that's 7 out of 10, but that example just shows the power of strategy. It's not what you see the red. It's if something's working and you're trying it out, there will literally be no emotional attachment because you're basically a human robot. But you
yeah,
get really pick.
yeah, and I think that once you find that strategy too, you have to make sure that you stick to it.
Yeah.
Because another thing too, a lot of people, when they aren't there yet with their trading mentality, and I'm so excited, we're gonna go and delve into trading mentality even more in a whole separate episode, um, is they lack the confidence. And I know that happened to me. So I would say, okay, I have this strategy that I've shown works, but is it really going to work this time? That doubt kicks in just out of human nature. And I feel like that's another big thing that we have to overcome in our strategy.
Yeah, like you said, mentality, everything is connected to, you know, your discipline and um, just us, the fear and the greed, everything, which we're going to cover. And we're so excited to cover the next episode with mentality because it is 90% of the our trading. So it's going to be very important. And I hope everybody tunes in for that. But exactly like you said the other day, you said opportunities are there, but whether you seek it out or not, it's what's important. And it's the same when it comes to strategies. They're great, they're like opportunities, but you have to follow the plan, you have to go with it.
Yeah, definitely. And you don't want to leap into trying to learn another asset class or another aspect of the market unless you have your discipline down, unless you know you are going to obey your rules, your mentality is in check, because otherwise you're just going to carry over your bad habits into what you're trying to learn next.
Absolutely, yeah.
And another big part of our mental base, our mentality, our way of thinking is how we go into trading. So a lot of people should understand that you want to come in calm, collected. You don't want to come into trading being in a frenzy because your brain is still going at that pace, whereas you need to be fully concentrated on everything that's in front of you. And that's plenty enough to look at from the start. You don't want distractions, whether they be mental or physical distractions. It's going to carry over into your trading, right?
100%. If you like, that's one of the turning points for me was if I felt anxious, if I sat on the trading desk and before I started trading day, I felt like, am I gonna make it today? Is it gonna be a red day or a green day? If I have, if I feel those before I even start trading, it always turned out to be not a good day. And so I stopped. Like, if I'm not calm and content, forget about excitement. You should have fun. Like, I'm not saying fun is bad, but if you're not feeling that contentment and calm and before you even start, just take the day off. I mean, imagine if you had your work, your 9 to 5 job told you, hey, you can have a day off today. How happy would you be? So find those triggers. You realize you're anxious before the market opens, and it has to be calm. You have to feel calm. Otherwise, it's definitely going to carry over.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually brings me to a point that we had discussed a little bit, and that's about how trading can also be lonely. A lot of people come from working in office environments where they're surrounded by colleagues, but in trading, you're all alone. So I think that's another reason why we go and seek out these platforms, these social media platforms like StockTwits or Twitter or Discord, to get that connection and to try and talk to people, get advice, things like that. But I think that that's also, unfortunately, brought a lot of negativity. So you get that sense of community, but then there's also some toxic people that creep in there. And that's actually why and I know that you had actually talked about wanting to bring women into the limelight, but that was why I wanted us to start Trader Babes. So I saw that people on Discord needed to have a profile picture. And I didn't think anything of it about just uploading a picture of myself. And as soon as I did that, it was like a switch turned on, and I was getting horrible messages. Everything from completely inappropriate to being harassed to being insulted, anything that you could imagine. And I saw that there were other girls in the same Discord, and what they were doing was just pretending to be guys so that they didn't have to deal with it. And I thought to myself, okay, well, I could do that. And that's another thing. I got questioned all the time if I was actually a woman or not. So, by the way, ladies, if they ask you that, just go along with it. My favorite answer is yes, I am a 45-year-old man who trades in my tidy whities. Want to see a pic? No one, they're not going to say yes. If they do, then just go to Google. But so I thought, okay, so I can hide or I could just be myself. And I kind of wanted to be louder about it. And I didn't want all these other women feeling like they had to hide. And I think that that's something that kind of brought you and I together too, is having that same passion, right?
Yeah, it's amazing how I actually am getting chills because as a female trader in this men's world, because it's mostly men, we happen to share the same story. We started the same, the different times, and we had a different path. But for the first year and a half, I was I had no pick. My name didn't suggest anything that was female. I didn't want it, and mainly was because I wanted to be noticed for my intelligence and not for being a female. Um, and then so I started getting pretty good at giving calls, and I constantly got good call, bro, good call, bro. And I
Bro.
got sick of it. I'm like, no, I'm a woman and I give good calls. And then I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this for all women that are traders. I'm a woman and I'm gonna say I'm a woman and I give great calls. And so that's when I started, like, coming out of the shell. Um and then a lot of things followed that, like the harassments and uh just being ruthlessly vulgar. And uh, honestly, I you can ask my friends, my family, they probably haven't seen me cry before, but there has been a couple times where I just broke down from how painful it was. And if there's any other female traders out there that also been through that, don't worry, you're gonna grow such a tough skin.
Well, and
That's
that's
not
why
only
we're here
for
too.
trading, but for the world. Like I became, that's a whole other journey. Like for me, I just started to try to get the upper hand by turning the jokes around. And you know I'm not fucking leaving. I'm gonna be a part of this community. I love this chat room. I you know I'm just gonna turn the jokes around. And at first it was very artificial because I was trying hard to do that. And then after about a year, it kind of became natural, and I'm kind of having fun with it now. It just doesn't get to me. And I feel that I'm sort of fighting for women's right, but being able to make the same jokes that they do.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with you completely. It's very empowering when the guys realize that you can talk the talk just like they do. And I just think that it's so important that other female traders realize that they're not alone, that we have all experienced exactly what they are experiencing. And I feel like that is what has been lacking, is kind of women being outspoken in it, because naturally there are less females in this field. We know that. But there's a new influx of traders now, and that includes women as well. So I feel like it's so important to have some outspoken women who are going to have their video podcasts being watched like us, and who show that serious traders respect us and treat us as equals. And I just think that I'm hoping that gives us a platform to stand on, so that we can be there to support other female traders, bring them into the spotlight that they deserve, because there's some incredibly talented ones, and also create that sense of community and having fun, because trading is stressful. We need to have fun. uh, but we can also have fun while being respectful with each other as well.
Right. For years, I wanted to start something that was a safe haven for women because of how I was being hurt. And I knew there was going to be other female traders. And I kind of wanted to trade with just females because I figured, like, we think the same, our brain is structured the same. And it's definitely an avenue to give it a try. But most importantly, just to have a place out of the distractions that this other platforms sometimes bring. But I never got to it. And one day, you messaged me a few months ago, and you said you wanted to start this channel if you wanted to team up. And it was great because it was something I wanted to for so long, and I just never pulled the trigger. Like, I don't pull the trigger on some stuff. I I didn't pull the trigger, so it was just perfect. Like uh, you know, we just started. We hit it off, and we knew instantly that what we wanted to do. It was the same intention, instantly empower women. This is what we want to do, and it all worked out. We did it, and it's important to know also, as much as important it is that hopefully men are empowering to women and help them in this field, because we do have other um, aspects that we have to deal with. So being kind, stepping up, and uh, helping female traders, please do that. But also female traders, when you see another female trader in the room, just be kind to each other, and see how you can help each other out. Sometimes there is a little non-existent competition that comes uh, among females in chat rooms, and please cut that out. We have a lot to do. We got
We have enough to
got
deal with.
enough to
As
deal with.
women.
We got a short stick handed to us, evolutionary, and we got to make huge changes in life and in trading world. So just everybody back each other up.
And I think that you bring up a really good point, because I think that it's very impactful when the larger male successful traders that everyone's looking up to and following, when they show they're supporting female traders and treating them just the same as they do the rest of the guys. I think that it makes a huge impact also.
You're right.
Yeah. And I noticed as we kind of started moving along in this a little bit, that I kind of wanted to give other new traders maybe a chance to get the information that it took you and I so long to search for, or that we just kind of had to learn on our own. And so I think that we just kind of want to help everyone starting out. There's so many of us out there, and I think it would be amazing to kind of have that community come together.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope, and I think we will. We're going to have a lot of good speakers coming on, and we also been everywhere you've been, so we hear you. We want to, lessen your phases as much as possible, you know. So.
And just because we're girls doesn't mean we don't have good advice.
Right.
Actually, that brings me to my next point. On Twitter at Trader Babes, I asked everyone if they have any questions for us, and we did get a couple. So you want to try to answer them?
Sure.
Before we head off for the rest of the night. The first one I will let you answer. What did changes in institutional and insider ownership percentages mean? Are there any changes that could be considered more significant than others?
Yeah, absolutely. If I think I read that question, and on that one, the institutional uh, sh- shares had gone up, whereas the um,
The insider went down, I
the
think it
insider
was.
went down, right? And then so that wouldn't worry me, because uh, like I said, it's there are times where some companies make you only take out and cash out your shares, for your normal living. You want to update your home, whatever. Like the insiders want to cash in some of those shares, and they only give a specific amount, like a specific time of the month or every few months. So that does happen. You will see that, but especially if you see institutions still holding it or even increasing it, definitely I see zero worry in that scenario. If you see both tanking, I would certainly worry about it. There's just so many answers to that, but having the given B institutions haven't changed their shares, and it's very normal.
Basically, fluctuations in insider ownership and institutional ownership happens. Institutions are constantly buying and selling their positions, and so are insiders.
Right. If
Insiders
you see that
are
happening simultaneously, I would see that as a red flag. If you see a large number or repetitive, happening, but if it's once in a while. And it's just, I would sell my shares once in a while.
The next one is how to differentiate between day trades and swing trades. So, this is something that I myself, as a new trader, did not understand the difference between the two. So, your day trade you get rid of at the end of the day. Your swing trade it could be an overnight. That's also one type of swing trade, but your swing trade is usually days to weeks, sometimes months, but that's more of your longer term swings. So you're usually not adding a swing position on a big rally day. You want to add it in, go to your technicals and add it based on what your technicals tell you to. But if something is running and up 100%, so that's usually your day trade. You're not going to add it once it's up 100%. I'm sure there are a few exceptions, and we have seen multi-day runners, but in the norm, that's not when you're adding your swing trades, right?
Yeah, you said it perfectly. Absolutely. And the time frames are correct. So this, I do both. I do day trading. I do swing trading. Swing trading is safer, for instance, because you have, there's nothing really volatile happening where you're looking at a daily chart to a weekly chart, and you are able to uh, pick your levels and just go about your day, go on vacation, and you only pick ones that are absolutely have moving average crosses happening, a definite cup and handle. Usually swing traders only go for buying a pullback, not, so what you said about, like, you don't buy on 100% day exactly. You want to, um, you generally want to swing trade on good stocks. Like, I wouldn't swing trade and overnight hold a toxic penny stock. I have, but I wouldn't now. So I'm very comfortable swing trading um, Facebook, Apple when technicals are right, because I probably won't be wrong. It's a company, it's not going anywhere. So, um, having said that, that it's just very important to know, like, if trading horrible stocks, this, do not swing trade. Like, you're just either having hope, or um, you're just stuck in just some pump and
Vicious
dump.
cycle. A
Yeah,
vicious cycle.
that was perfect. Some news comes out about offering, you wake up to 75% down your portfolio. It's not worth the risk, because sure, there's huge returns when it comes to things like that, but it only takes one day to take most of that out.
Raise your hand if you've ever bought a stock and then got caught in an offering.
Okay, hold on.
We have done it.
Learn better now, or high five. Now we know better.
Yes, definitely.
That's what's important in trading. It's always about acknowledging, even if you're a good trader, and you have all these rules about not having FOMO, and not having bias. It's gonna happen, but now you know better to acknowledge and be aware of it.
Well, and not only to acknowledge your mistakes, but make sure that you're taking time to acknowledge what you're doing right, which is why journaling is stressed so heavily. So you can go back and see what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. Concentrating on continuing to do things that you're doing right can actually lead you to be profitable faster rather than always concentrating on what you're doing wrong.
Right, absolutely. That journaling is probably your gateway to heaven as far as trading goes.
That's a
It
perfect
really is.
saying, considering your painting kind of looks like you're floating up into the clouds.
You're gonna have to believe me, everybody, because journaling, literally the formula for success. If someone has been down consistently over the years, like I had been my first few years, the formula is very simple. It's take 3 weeks off, start journaling, pick a pattern that you see and just name them. Some people call this journaling paper trading. Like, of course, paper trading is great, but I'm not even going to go to that. We've heard that before. Journal, because if even if you're paper trading, you're just paper trading out of not knowing anything. So forget that. Put that for possibly the next steps. Journal. Even if you're a successful trader and you've been having terrible days, if you have great days and you're successful traders, journal, because it's what's going to keep the train going, and it's for unsuccessful traders. Uh, it's what's going to fix it all. You're going to pick a strategy while you're picking out a pattern. You're not just going to sit there. You're going to say like, oh, this is what I saw. This is the pattern I picked up to 11 o'clock. And this is what it turned out to be. You type that up. It takes 15 minutes. At nighttime, you put another 15 minutes and you review it and you prep your levels for the next day. And I don't know, is it worth half an hour a day to uh, give your 100% for the best job in the world, where you could have complete financial freedom, complete freedom from 9 to 5 job, and just be your own person? I think it's well worth it. And
So
journaling.
would you say then that's one of the top 3 tips that you give to new traders? Because that's our last Twitter question, is what are the top 3 tips you give to new traders? So you would definitely say journaling. What are the other 2?
First, learn your alphabets. If you're trying to write a book, learn your alphabets, learn technicals. That's what it is. And then, if the second would be, please pick a strategy that works. I don't care what it is. It could be anything, but if you literally could be the craziest indicator, but it's working. It's giving you above 60% return, like month in, month out. Use it, do it. I don't care what it is. And then, um, last but not least, because it all comes all simultaneously. That's where success is. It's not like 1 = 1. So journaling, those 3 things, and take 3 weeks off if you think you've had consistent red days.
Yeah, I agree with the tips that you gave. I would say if I were to categorize my 3, it would be don't follow blindly. Force yourself to obey your rules. Whatever rules you put in place, obey whether it's, okay, I have to obey my stop loss. I am only going to take this position size. Make sure you do something that's going to force you to obey your rules. And lastly, and obviously not least, is make sure your mentality and your emotions are in check. Your emotions will destroy you if you don't have them in check when you are trading. So you can use little tricks like I did, turning off the dollar signs and only looking at percentages. Whatever the little tricks you need to do to get your emotions in check, I would say that's really how you're starting to build that base foundation for being able to learn.
Absolutely, I agree.
And that actually brings us to the end of the Get to Know the Babes. Trader Babe Erika and Trader Babe Arya. And thank you so much for getting on with me. I know we had a lot of trouble with the cameras before, but we eventually got our virtual backgrounds working. And we'll have to find some new fun ones to try out.
Yeah. I would be interested in that. You look really cute with the beach behind you. You live in Florida, so it's like you're just outside.
That's true. I should just take my camera outside, you know? I want to be on a beach with like some hula dancers behind me and then like maybe like a coconut drink coming up, that sounds fun.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to have our Trader Babes meet up soon, maybe in Florida or Puerto Rico.
Very soon. And then we're going to have all kinds of new fun episodes to choose from.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks, Arya, for coming in and talking with me again. All right. Have a good night. I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Take care, everyone.
Want more Trader Babes? Subscribe now and connect with us on social media for exclusive content and access you won't find anywhere else. And we'll see you right here on the next unforgettable episode of Trader Babes.